Hi, my name is Lucas. I'm from São Paulo, Brazil, and I'm here to present my final project for the CS50 programming with Python. In my project, I try to replicate the CNN Fear and Greed Index. That's a very famous index made by CNN. They try to measure the overall sentiments of the US market, varying from bonds, from stocks, from overall volatility in all the different measurements. And was a very interesting project because I need to deal with a lot of data and a lot of sources of data, as I will explain in the next part. So as you can see here, this is the official website for the index. Here you can see that is measured from 0 to 100, meaning that 0 is extreme fear and 100 is extreme greed. This is an index made using 7 different indicators or criteria that's, as I said, measured different things that, for example, market momentum, the stock price strength, put and call options. So it is very broad in relation to what's measured because the focus is to measure the overall greed for the entire market. So if bonds are very greedy, but stocks for some reason are not going so well, the index is gonna balance itself. And every criteria have also a 0 to 100 and is equally weighted into one. So you sum all the 7, divided, and you have the final score. So to give you more detail about the project itself, I think the biggest challenge about it was how to access all these sources of data. And speaking more about that, I used 3 sources of data. So first of all was the Yahoo Finance that have most of the information about stocks, about volatility, about ATFs that I need to use to calculate some of the criteria. The second one was access the FRED, the Federal Reserve database that also was needed for the jug bonds information. And for the last one that was the most difficult was the put and call ratio that I actually don't have a free API or a free URL that I can use it. So I can broadcast all the information. So I need to do a little scraper that go to a specific URL and collect all the information that I needed for that day. So you're gonna see that the robot going there, and the code requesting, the URL collecting the data, collecting the data, saving to do all that. So now let's show the results. So with the code finally run, this is the output. So first thing, the program search for all the information, the prices for all the S&P 500 stocks. So this was the only given information that was pre-given to the program, so a list of all the S&P 500 companies. They downloaded all this information, and then it already goes to doing the calculations. So actually, after each step, they also give a CSV if I want to add this to a database in the future or do some historical data for some reason. Here is the put and call ratio that I tell you that this is a scraper, so they need to go to each date and get the specific data that I wanted. So they take a quite long time to do it. So it's 90 days for this one. And at the end, doing all these calculations, you can have here the final score. For example, for today, is 33.59. So it's actually fear for today. And for each component, you have the same thing. So the number here in the translated version also is as near as I can or as close as I can for the original CNN. I think the biggest difference here is that CNN don't give the actual numbers for each of the components. So some of them I need to kind of guess it, which, for example, stock or which financial instrument I need to measure. And I think the biggest difference is that CNN use a broader number of companies. They see all the companies in the US market, so it's almost 3,000 companies. Here I focus on a more concise version to be more quick, more concise for only 500. So this one I think is the biggest difference as I can see in the 2 original projects. So this was basically my final projects. Thank you very much for seeing, and bye-bye.